Hey yo guys, just so you guys know, refs are not full-time employees by the NFL, and that's not their main job. Okay, but there is still some praise that makes you question, what are refs doing? How are they getting paid to go out there and do some horrible, whatever they're doing wrong? It's just like, they do some shenanigans. They do some really bad stuff that they should definitely not be doing out there. And it's like the refs, how are they getting paid for what they do? Half the time the refs are doing something where you're just like, why are the refs getting paid to go out there? So I just watched this PA where Miles Sanders, I believe, was returning the kick, or it was 26 for the Eagles. So he was returning a kick or something. Yeah, he was returning a kick. So, okay, that's normal. Okay, what's the big deal? Well, his helmet gets ripped off. It's clearly like a pass interference. His helmet gets ripped off by the defender, and this is Eagles versus Giants. And I get it, the refs don't get paid yet. So, what is the refs' annual salary in the NFL? Probably not as much as it should be, because the NFL has been having some horrible calls lately, and I know it's not the NFL season. How much do refs get paid each year? How much do refs get paid each year in the NFL?
About $205,000 per year. According to NBC Sports Boston, NFL referees on average usually make about $205,000 per year.
$205,000, guys. $205,000. And people are saying that is not a good income. Now, the best refs make the highest paid NFL refs makes $250,000. What is the highest paid referee? So, who's the highest paid NFL referee? A. Brad Allen and Walter Anderson are the highest paid NFL referees from the 2020 to 20. The refs makes between $1,000 and $5,000 for each playoff game. So it's like they're making some pretty good money. But what's the problem with that is that there's not a lot of games. But they can still make some good amount of money. Do refs get a bonus for the Super Bowl? Yes, they do. How much does the Super Bowl ref get paid? In addition to the flat rate salaries for the year and their postseason bonuses, the added bonus for working the biggest game of the year averages between $40,000 and $50,000 for one single game. Now, you can get way more hate than you usually do, because the Super Bowl, you know, teams are going to be like, oh, Super Bowl rigged, Super Bowl rigged, Super Bowl rigged. Even if it's not, if their team uses, people are going to be, Super Bowl's rigged, Super Bowl's rigged, Super Bowl's rigged. We know people are going to be like that. So, do NFL referees have other jobs? For the majority of officials, being a referee is only their side job, but they can make a good amount of money. But it's not for young enough for it to be their main job. Like, they make a good amount of money while reffing, but it's like they don't do it enough for it to be their main job. So I could see why they do a side job, because the NFL is only for like 4 months or something like that. So I could see why they get a side job. How do refs get a Super Bowl ring? As a Super Bowl ring is obviously a valuable object. Only the winning team gets it, but so do all the referees. The tradition goes all the way back to the first NFL-AFL championship game in 1967, which is called Super Bowl. The Super Bowl users get paid. I think they do. Super Bowl users do get paid, I'm pretty sure. Based on the NFL's collective bargaining agreement, players on the winning team in Super Bowl 57 will receive 100. Players on the losing team receive $82,000 per player. The amount increases each year. Last year, winning players made an extra $150,000. but that was from 2022. So the refs. So this is what we're talking about most. The refs in Super Bowl 57. People have been mad at the refs ever since that controversial holding call on Juju Smith. Juju Smith-Schuster, it was on James Bradbury. So Juju Smith-Schuster was running the route, gets held on for like 1 or 2 seconds. James Bradbury doesn't think it's gonna be holding call, and he has to go. We call it an incompletion, and then the next thing you see a holding call, which Andy Reid agreed with. Obviously, if they said no to that, they need to get into health if they said no to that penalty, because that basically won their team to the Super Bowl. So that's the controversial call. Now, the Eagles, we all know the Eagles people are going to be mad because the Phillies have one of the most, the Eagles and all around Philly sports teams have some of the most dedicated fans you will ever see. They are very dedicated to their team. So, so what is it that Yelich paid NFL referee salary? There are value reports, but the lower end of those reports. So that's the controversial call, and we know how Phillies and generally, we know Phillies fans, they go crazy, but that's baseball, not football. And then we know Phillies fans from baseball go absolutely crazy, and then we know Eagles fans go absolutely crazy. So it's just like it's kind of like a tradition for them to go absolutely crazy, honestly. So the Philadelphia Eagles go absolutely crazy. And, it's kind of like, I feel like So Philadelphia has a couple sports teams. So their sports teams they have quite a bit of them. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia 76ers, Philadelphia Phillies, the Philadelphia Union, Philadelphia Flyers, Philadelphia Stars, St. Joseph Hawks men basketball, Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals, Philadelphia Fury, Philadelphia Bulldogs, Philly Spears men basketball, Philadelphia Soul, Philadelphia Phoenix, Philadelphia Young Star SC, Philadelphia Phantoms. So, yeah, you guys get the point, guys. You guys definitely get the point. They have quite a bit of sports teams. So, you know that they are going to take their sports teams seriously. But was the call the right call? Now, it probably was the right call because he did hold a good amount. But what people have been mad about for like 5-6 months, is that for the entire game they weren't calling that. And then at the most important play of the game, what do you know? The refs pull that flag out and call pass interference. So it was the right call, yes, but they didn't do it all game. So people were just like, they're not going to do it. And then the next thing we know, they did it. So yeah. So yeah, that's people do not like that call. So yeah, and so Juju Smith-Schuster was mad at the refs earlier in the game, cause they somebody holded him and it wasn't called. So that basically made people think that they weren't gonna call it. So that made people think they're not gonna call it all game. Yeah, let's go. And then the next thing we know, we just see people going out there and going crazy because they call a penalty, guys. They call a penalty. They call a penalty on something they hadn't called a penalty basically the entire game. I think there was like one or two, but they didn't really call a penalty almost in the entire game. So that's made people mad, Nick, because people did not appreciate that, especially Philadelphia fans. They certainly not appreciate that call in Philadelphia. I think I saw like a video of them reacting to it, and they were like yelling, going absolutely crazy. Now, was it the right call? Yes. Should they have called it? No. Because they didn't call it all game, so people thought they just weren't going to call it. And if you don't call it for the entire game, just don't call it. And yes, it's like an egregious, obvious, if it's an, only call it if it's an obvious. I think if you don't call it for the entire game, just only call it if it's an obvious. But that's just my opinion, okay, guys?